right now is where we turn our attention to Green Bay. The Packers to win the Super Bowl, 22-1. NFC 11-1, NFC North plus 275, second shortest odds behind the Detroit Lions. Sam, how are we feeling about the Packers today?
Sort of echoing what you said. I just don't really know. This is one of those teams I can't really get a pulse on. I wouldn't be surprised either way. I'm not excited to bet the win total either way, which is 9.5. MGM has the over slightly juiced at minus 120. I don't love the over there because they have to get to 10 in a division I think is definitely Detroit's to lose, and I think Minnesota has made up a lot of ground. But I'm not necessarily looking to short either. Look, LaFleur has been very, very good in the regular season as a head coach. And sure, he had Rodgers for a huge chunk of that, but he takes over in 2019. They go 13-3, 13-3, 13-4. Then the year where Rodgers gets hurt, they go 8-9, 9-8 with Love. And then last year, second year of Love as a full-time starter, 11-6. So it took them about 2 years to figure out what Jordan Love was and how to use him. But this has been a coach who's constantly found ways to win regular season games. And his record in December is sensational. Winning percentage of about 70% in December since he's been a head coach. So the Packers have technically gotten stronger over the course of a season since LaFleur has been there because he really figures out his offense. And, of course, he's from that Kyle Shanahan tree. He's an offensive wizard. They tend to score a bunch of points. I'm looking at the offenses since he's been there. 15, 1, 10, 14, 12, 8. Pretty good offenses for the most part. On average, you're in the top 10. So that's what you're working with. Now, defensively was where I was really surprised last year. They were 6th in the league in points allowed and 5th in the league in yards allowed. That's been the real growth for Green Bay. We talk about Love and the offense and the running game and Josh Jacobs and the O-line. Their defense was very, very good last season. If they can pair those two sides together, this is another over and another playoff team in Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean, your point about them being great late in the season, like 2 years ago, they went 6-2 in their final 8 games. Last year, Jordan Love, I mean, I don't believe he played the final game of the season, but a good stretch down the stretch run of the season. I think their offense is going to be fine again. Defense, there's some holes, especially in the secondary. Cornerback needs some work. But ultimately, like, sometimes a little slow to get going. They peak late in the year and they end up making the playoffs. And then there's not much to it after that. So I'm with you, not terribly high to bet this team. I would imagine they can go over 9.5 wins. But this is also a division where I've said multiple times, Sam, this division is just kind of going to beat up on each other. So will a lot of these teams get to that double-digit win mark? I think the way they start off their schedule, getting Detroit week 1 at home. This is Detroit's first game. Obviously, it's week 1 with their new coordinators, still maybe trying to figure some things out. I think that's a great spot for the Packers to face Detroit. Commanders will be a tough game in week 2. Cleveland, like you could start the season 3-1 going into your bye in week 5. So there are a lot of there's certainly a path for the Packers to have success this season. I just don't know if you can trust Jordan Love to stay healthy for a full year. And I know that's a lot of these injuries are not his fault, but like he hasn't made it through a full season. When he's been on the field, he's been pretty good. But the last 2 years, it's like got injured first game last year, kind of was playing catch up for a lot of the season. And then the year before, injured early on and then came on late in the year and led the Packers to the playoffs. So I don't know if this just isn't a team that I totally trust.
I understand it. Here's how good they were last year, though. They went 1-5 in the division. Only one win against the Bears. And that was a game they should have lost, too. That was with the field goal antics, and the Bears fudged the field goal. They go 1-5 in the NFC North and still win 11 games. That's how good they were last year outside the division. And, look, they have built a monster in the front seven, especially on the defensive line. So from left to right, Rashawn Gary, first-round pick. Kenny Clark, first-round pick. Devontae Wyatt, first-round pick. Lucas Van Ness, first-round pick. And then the linebacking core, they really love Quay Walker, who they also took in the first round, and Edgerrin Cooper, who they took second round last year. They have scattered and stacked first-round picks all over the line. And that was what really dictated their success last year, because it was very difficult to run the ball on Green Bay. And if you can't run it, that's ideal in the NFL. If you can shut down the run and turn teams into 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, that's how you win football games. And that's what they did last year. Health is going to be important for them. They have to keep those guys on the line very, very healthy. If they do, again, this is a team that could do anything, could win the division. And the market clearly respects Green Bay. I mean, they're second favorite. You know how much I like Minnesota this year. And you know about the hype on Chicago. I saw yesterday in Illinois, somebody went into one of the casinos in Illinois and bet $300,000 on the Bears over. $300,000.
Yikes.
Yep,
That's scary.
Packers are still on line too. Same as it ever was, right? They're consistent. And I think the hardest part is that a lot of us don't know how they're consistent or why they're consistent. So we put a big question mark next to them. I'm not going to short them. I'm just going to bet Minnesota to make the playoffs and hope that the Purple People Eaters can get through again on defense. But this is a team that, when healthy, is good enough to win 10 again, go over the win total, make the playoffs. Now, I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to do anything crazy like win the North, win the NFC 11-1, bet MGM, 22-1 to win the Super Bowl. I have my hesitations about them being good enough to string together wins in the playoffs. But they look against the Eagles in the playoffs. They were fighting them tooth and nail for a huge majority of that game. So look, it's a punchy team. They're going to be good as underdogs. I'll be looking to back them a lot when they're catching points. But I think there's a restrictor on how far they can go, because I don't think Jordan Love can outduel other quarterbacks in the NFC. Period.
Who do you have winning this division?
Well, I'd love selfishly Minnesota, but if you made me pick, like I didn't make a bet on it. If you made me pick, I'd take Detroit.
Okay. Can I interest you in like Jordan Love's passing yards over, or like any sort of props this season? Passing yards, 3,600 and a half, 4th most yards per attempt last year, just over 8. I mean, I think it's pretty doable for Jordan Love to get to 4,000 passing yards. I know he doesn't have a great wide receiving core. We kind of talk about the Packers receiving core as like by committee, similar to the Bills. Now, is Jordan Love Josh Allen? No, I think there's quite a bit of gap between the two of those. But getting to 4,000 yards, they love Matthew Golden. That's what I've been hearing coming out of that. Like, I don't think that is necessarily a terrible look. He had 3,300 and some change last year, 15 games played, but again, was injured nursing kind of an injury. He played in those. He wasn't 100% for most of the season last year. The year prior had 4,000 yards. I don't hate a look on his passing yards over minus 110. Decent price.
I like the Golden number at 700. I think that's very attainable. You know, these young rookies come in, especially ones that have played in big conferences at major programs, and they tend to have success. And they also, you know, they have the ability to use Golden in a variety of ways. You know, he's got so much speed. And that's a guy, if you get him the ball in these isolation looks and these one-on-ones, he has the ability to make you miss, and he can turn a 6-yard gain into a 20-yard gain. You start stacking those up, it's easy to get over a low number. You know, a lot of these rookies, these guys that go in the first round, they have numbers in the high 800s or the low 900s. He's at 700.5.
Yeah.
That's a low number. I think they're going to use him a ton. And I heard Horvey talking about Golden, and, you know, I've heard on this network people have brought him up for Offensive Rookie of the Year and all that, and that's fine. I'm not going to go there because I already have a rookie or two that I like. But if everything goes well and he's a 1,000-yard guy, you know, he's going to get some love for Offensive Rookie of the Year at 30-1. I'm staying away from the love stuff, but I do think that Matthew Golden's number at 700.5 is a good over bet, at least right now.
Okay, do you think Matthew Golden being the player that we think he's going to be having success this year. Does that help out a case at all for Josh Jacobs to win Offensive Player of the Year? Because that's a bet that I like. 40-1, Josh Jacobs. He was 6th in rushing yards last year, over 1,300, 4th most rushing touchdowns, 15 in his first season with the Packers. Sam, he had 1 touchdown through 7 games last year, like kind of getting going, started with this team, and then all of a sudden just exploded in the back half of the year. Now you bring in Matthew Golden, passing game opens up the run game a little bit more. The offensive line graded out 10th best offensive line this year. So I think there's a path for Josh Jacobs to win Offensive Player of the Year. And at 40-1, I think that's a decent price.
Sure. Then rip it. Let it go, because their line has always been, this unit that can block for the backs. And, when the Raiders got rid of Josh Jacobs, I was a little concerned as to why they were going to get rid of this guy who's, a surefire 1,000-yard back and, 3-down back. Well, the Packers were very happy to poach Jacobs. And you look at his props, they're saying 1,000 yards. MGM's got 1050.5, touchdown number 9.5. Now you're going to need a little more than that. Obviously, you're going to need like 1,500 yards and maybe 13, 14 touchdowns to be in that conversation. But if you like Josh Jacobs, by all means, let it rip. I'm on McCaffrey. I'm always going to look for these guys in that 20-1 range and go higher. But that's certainly a price that is very, very nice. I see your friends at Blue Book have 60-1 on Jacobs.
Do they?
Oh yeah.
All right, we're going over to Blue Book then. Uh-oh. Well, maybe we'll stay at Gold Book, BetMGM.
Gold Book is better. Has always been better.
Gold Book is much better. Yeah.
I think Gold Book would understand though if you were going to get a 60 instead of a 40.